I guess I'll just start it up. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm honored to come down here and leave my patients up in New York wondering where I am for the day.
Sure, they're going to be upset about missing their endoscopies.
It's having done the prep without the procedure. That's what they're going to be really irritated at. It's all right. No, they all know. They all knew. I'm keenly aware that you are here. We have about 30 minutes. And that you're here to listen to Paul, not to me. So I'm gonna be a facilitator of Paul talking. On a personal note, I want to thank you for one thing, which was for entitling Chapter 2 Praxis and Policy. Because what that taught me was that if you highlight a word in the Kindle, the dictionary pops up. and you can learn what the word praxis means. Formal practice. Anyway, so I just want to thank you for that.
My pleasure, John. That's why I wrote the book.
It's okay. You're a physician. I'm a physician. You love to use physician metaphors, and you talk about the history of the present illness. Let's start off, and so that's going to be the arc of today's 30 minutes. I think we'll consider Haiti like a patient. Let's start with the past medical history, okay? You start off with a country that in 1804 had its successful revolution and rewarded in 1825 with France imposing a $21 billion reparations bill on them, which took them over 100 years to repay with interest. And it got worse from there. So you say the collapse has been ecological, economic, and political. You want to expand on that in about 20 seconds?
That's his revenge for me canceling his endoscopies. First of all, Perry, thank you for having us here. And I said on the way in here, I can't imagine that there would be anyone here on a Monday morning. So thank you all for making an effort to be here. It's not a convenient time I'm sure for any of you. And thank you, John, for doing this. By way of thanks, and as a segue into the question, I also want to express at the outset my deep gratitude to the Haitian people. And that sounds like a grandstanding move, but let me be specific. And those of you here today who are Haitian will know exactly what I'm talking about. The revolution that John LaPook just mentioned, I'm going to say John, even though it's Dr. LaPook, that John just mentioned was the only time that in recorded history that a slave revolt has led to the founding of a nation. And when we heard about the French Revolution, 1789, and its promises of liberty, equality, and fraternity, how could that be true if there were slaves, right? How could that be a real human rights revolution? And the answer is, of course, as the Haitians said, it couldn't be true. It wasn't real. No offense to anybody who is from France, especially because I really love French food. But it could not be meaningful without the Haitian Revolution. And the Haitians will tell you, and again, this across all spectrums of Haitian society, and most of my experience has been in the rural regions, places you've now visited as a physician, and my knowledge of the Haitian urban elites is actually quite limited. It's mostly through books, reading books that they've written. But across that spectrum, Haitians will tell you that no small amount of their current problems are related to the Haitian Revolution and the price they paid for actually pushing forward these ideas. Now, I said, well, how can you say that in a more concise way? And that's why I took a medical metaphor. And for those of you who are not in medicine, we talk about the history of the present illness. That's what someone comes in with a complaint, different sort of complaints, usually for John's patients than mine.
I'm an internist too.
We're both internists, so they come in and say, well, I've been coughing for, in my case, usually people are talking about coughing for weeks and losing weight, whatever it might be. And then you gather the history of the present illness. You find out when this started, and one of the things that we like to do, and I put this in the book, maybe pushing a little bit, in my work, infectious disease work, we always go chronologically. And the patient may or may not have an idea about when a certain illness started. They always do have an idea. I shouldn't say they may or may not have an idea. But going back in time to when that patient was well and then moving forward. Now, Haiti was never well because it was a slave colony prior to the revolution, and then it was this pariah nation that was being punished by the great powers of the time.
And frightening to the United States, right?
And very frightening to the United States. And I always quote in books about Haiti, on the Senate floor, the senator from one of our states, I won't mention which, but it's a little bit south of North Carolina, saying, you know, the safety of our country forbids that we even talk about Haiti.
Right.
Now this is, you know, on the Senate floor.
And obviously there were still slaves in the U.S. at the time.
Exactly. And the first envoy we sent was when Lincoln sent the first ambassador. So the United States and Haiti have this very complicated history that goes back actually to before the Revolution, when we sided with the slave owners as the only other independent nation in the hemisphere, the only independent nation in the hemisphere. So we have this history, I think, also as two countries. And as an American writing about Haiti, that's always on my mind too. What about our country in Haiti?
So that sets the stage, because people say, Haiti, it's a lost cause. I mean, they just can't get their act together. Look at all the aid that's come in. But really, without knowing the history and how they've been up against it, you really can't even start to talk about it. And I think that's one part of the book that's terrific. He's done it in other books, but that you just sort of set the stage and sort of even think about Haiti. Because just coming into it raw, I think it's very hard for people to just get it, okay? Let's talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is NGOs, okay? And I've been to Haiti several times now, and I've seen the amazing work that NGOs, including Partners in Health. I was there the day that the cholera outbreak started in St. Mark, and I saw Koji Nakashima, who interviewed him. He was astounding,
yeah.
And as were the colleagues from Doctors Without Borders and other organizations. And I went up north to Port-de-Paix, and I saw the difference between the health care that people got in a mission, an NGO, and then just going about several miles down the road to the public hospital, which was astounding. I've never seen anything like that in my life. You walk in, there were literally no doctors there when I walked in. Yeah. There were 3 guys who didn't have their MD yet, who were sitting there, and then they were in training. They were going to call other doctors, and the patients were on the right and the left. They had to bring their own sheets and their family brought the food, and there was no electricity, and I mean, you cannot imagine that. So you have this big difference between the public and the private. But the critics would say that there is this codependency between the NGOs and the public government. And you talk about this friction between taking care of the patient who's right in front of you. That's the doctor. That's Dr. Farmer. You're always Dr. Farmer, but the person, you can't even resist it. They're sick, and you're going to reach out and you're going to help them. And taking care of the whole system, the anthropologist, the public health expert. So you talk about that as the chief tension in your life. So talk about that and about this whole controversy.
Well, you know, the tension and the controversy, I'll try to give I'll attack both of those. And I'm here with some friends who Perry met, who just came in from New York, we've been working on some policy projects together. Now that sounds like if it were 9 o'clock at night, everybody would just, pitch forward in their seats and start snoozing. And I don't find policy discussions that interesting, but they are crucial to getting this right. And when we talk about Build Back Better, we're not talking just about the destroyed infrastructure. We're talking about building aid back better. For example, you were in where the cholera outbreak started, and again, there's an entire history to where cholera came from and where it's going, and I'm very interested in that too, and I hope we have a chance to discuss it. But that area was actually not touched by the earthquake. Right. So what you saw when you went in, there's no electricity, no doctors, and a terribly underfunded public sector, and then some pretty good NGO work. What you saw is part of what needs to be built back better. And so the tension between policy, okay, you know what, I shouldn't have used the word praxis. It was kind of smarty pants, old school Marxist term. I like it, though.
It was a cool word. Don't let it go.
All right, I'll let it go.
I'm past it. I'm past it.
You know, for my doctor friends who are here today, including